Hello, I'm just popping in to say there is a flash warning included with this video. There's a lot of flashing in the screen recorded footage due to me switching between layers frequently. I will be mindful of this in future, but if you're sensitive to this video may not be for you, and I'm very sorry. Hi, it's been a long time since I made a long-form Speedpaint video, but I do miss creating them. I'm also really nervous. It might be because I haven't recorded anything in I don't know, 4 years? Or maybe it's because I've had 2 cups of coffee, but I guess we'll find out. So today I'll be going through my process for creating a Kingdom Hearts piece and talking about the series, so if that's something you think you'd enjoy, grab a drink. I have coffee. This is still the 2nd cup, I swear. Grab a drink and a snack, or your sketchbook if you want to draw along with me. So this is a piece for my illustration portfolio. I'm currently working on getting into book illustration. So this was piece 11 of 12 to just get my portfolio launched, get something out there that I could start sending to publishing companies. Why Kingdom Hearts? Well, I finally got a PS4 back in December. Yes, I am very late to the party. And after years and years of waiting, not only for Kingdom Hearts 3 to drop, but to have the time to play it, and to get the console to play it on, the stars aligned and I was able to play the game I've been waiting for since I was 14. That makes me feel so old. I didn't expect to get so invested in the series again, but I quickly got drawn back into the characters and the universe. And after doing lots of doodles in my free time, if you follow my shorts, I'm sure you've seen a lot of those, I decided to incorporate a Kingdom Hearts piece into my portfolio. I had 2 slots open for fan art, and it seemed like a special tribute to my childhood, playing the earlier games, and a nice nod to it contributing to my future. As for the process, I knew that I wanted to draw the Destiny Islands trio, so that's Sora, Riku and Kairi, for anyone not familiar with the games. They're best friends, and I wanted to draw them just hanging out at one of their homes between their bigger adventures, just getting the chance to actually be normal friends when they're not off fighting Heartless. I downloaded an app called Magic Poser years ago now. I think another art YouTuber recommended it, actually. I cannot remember which one at this point, unfortunately. So, as the name implies, it's an app where you can use 3D models to create poses for illustrations. It's just been sitting on my iPad collecting digital dust, I suppose, since then. But I've very recently started utilising it again, and it's so helpful. I did pay for one of the premium versions so that I could have access to more models. So I think the free version only allows you to use the male model, whereas the paid option allows you to use the female model, and there are some anime style models too. It also gives you the option to change the body type and proportions, which I did play around with just a little to try and make Riku more muscular than Sora, but I didn't do anything too drastic as I'm still fairly new to using the app. I started to create thumbnail sketches of the various scenes to try and figure out which one I liked best and which one would work well. I ended up narrowing it down to 2 pieces, so then I did a slightly bigger thumbnail of each before settling on the version where they're chilling in Sora's room. And I got to work on the full-scale sketch. I tried a few different ideas out, the 3 of them sitting on the floor eating pizza, Sora and Riku cooking and bickering while Kairi watches, the 3 of them lounging on a couch, and also them hanging out in Sora's bedroom. Once I'd created the scenes in Magic Poser and taken screenshots at various angles, it was time to turn to my sketchbook. I do all of my sketches in a sketchbook. I just prefer to do my initial sketches traditionally. I find I can be more loose and organic. Once the sketch was done, I imported it into Procreate and cleaned up the sketch a little. Then I tweaked some of the anatomy and facial expressions. More to come on that. Sora's face gave me problems, as you'll see. I spent quite a while going back over it, tweaking the angle, changing the expression. It was just the angle I'd chosen. It's not one I often use. Also, especially paired with such an exaggerated expression, so it was a learning curve. I honestly did find it quite funny though, and I shared some of the sillier outcomes on my Instagram stories. I think the smiley face is a close second. I like to share times when I struggle, not just the times when everything's going smoothly, because no matter how experienced an artist you are, you're gonna have those days where things just aren't turning out how you imagined, or you have art block. Not every day can be a perfect art day, and most days aren't. It's something all artists experience, for better or for worse, so if I can make someone smile or give other artists a reminder that it's completely normal not to get things right first time, or at all, then I think it makes it worth it. In the Kingdom Hearts games, we only get a very brief look at Sora's room, as far as I can remember at least, in the first game, but there are concept illustrations online, so I reference those to try and get all of the interesting little details that make the room Sora's room, and make it feel more lived in. It was really interesting. I don't capture this because of the angle I drew the room at, but behind the crate in the bottom right hand corner, there are some fishing hooks and harpoons, which makes sense because Sora is an islander, but it gives a cool insight into some of his everyday hobbies outside of being a Keyblade wielder, which is something we don't get in the games. Another thing I didn't capture was a little robot figure type thing, which makes it seem like Sora is quite crafty in his free time. Some of the details I did manage to include are the little pirate ship hanging from the rafters of his ceiling. The original had only 2 ragdolls inside, but I added a little Riku as well. They're a trio, so it didn't feel right leaving one of them out. Sora's bedroom floor was covered in clothes in the references as well, so I made sure to include his jacket in the frame. I drew sleeping bags for Riku and Kairi, so maybe he made the effort to move some of his clothes. Though there's still a fishing net on the ground, so maybe he didn't go to that much effort. Why do I feel like Sora's the kind of guy who would just shove everything under his bed and be like, yeah, that's good. I wanted to incorporate pizza and bubble tea. I have no idea if they have bubble tea on the islands, or pizza, but a lot of my hangouts with friends involve bubble tea and pizza. So I wanted to include that to make it feel more fun and casual, especially if they're having a sleepover. So before I was completely happy with Sora's face, I did move on and start working on Kairi for a bit, because I'd definitely been looking at Sora for far too long at that point. But I was determined to get it right. I was really happy with the composition of the piece, and my expectations for the final result were high, so I ploughed on and I kept chipping away. I could see that I was getting closer to the result I was after, which was really encouraging. When I was finally happy with Sora's face, I finished Kairi and moved on to Riku. After all the trouble Sora's face gave me, I just drew one eye, made a copy, and flipped it to help me with the second eye, and I had to laugh at how it looked before I made edits. I think I shared this on Instagram too. Looking good, Riku. Looking good. So once I was happy with the anatomy and the faces, I created a new layer and started doing the final line art. I don't always do a sketchier layer underneath, but since this was a multi-character piece, and since the angle was a little different, I knew it was worth taking the time to make sure that everything was exactly as I wanted it to be before continuing with the line art. I didn't want to ruin it at that point. While I do the line art, I'll talk some more about the Kingdom Hearts games. So I learned about the games when the second game was released, and I saw it in a video and DVD rental shop. I'm really aging myself here. I was into manga and anime as well as Disney, so seeing anime-esque characters in a game with Disney characters immediately caught my attention. I rented the game, and not far into it I decided to use my pocket money to buy my very own copy, because I loved it immediately. Starting out with the second game, I obviously didn't have the full context, but I think the game does a fairly good job of catching you up, since you start out playing as Roxas, and he ends up learning about Sora and piecing together his connection to him. I also bugged my friends to play it so that they could get into it too, and then we could talk about it. Lucky for me, we had similar interests, so it was pretty easy to convince them to give it a go. And soon enough, we were all drawing Kingdom Hearts fan art and discussing our favourite characters and worlds in the game. So as you can probably tell, it's hugely nostalgic for me. It just takes me back to a very specific time in my life when I could just hang out with friends, be artsy, and share a fun video game. I feel like a lot of my friends were more interested in the villains though, especially Organization 13, which, don't get me wrong, they are fantastic. I don't dislike Organization 13, but I think I've just always been more of a fan of the Destiny Islands trio personally. I just really enjoy their friendship and their struggles and everything that goes along with that. As a kid, and actually still now, Sora was always my favourite character, and I wasn't such a huge fan of Riku. Please don't click off this video, I'm going to explain why I was wrong. But replaying the game again as an adult, Riku is also... He's probably tied for favourite with Sora of my favourite characters. I really like how they both go on a very similar journey, but they take very different paths. And I like the fact that Riku was supposed to be the one who got the Kingdom Key, but because he chose darkness, then it meant that Sora ended up being the Keyblade wielder instead. I just found that made their relationship dynamic even more interesting, because they already kind of had a bit of a rivalry going on as kids, which makes sense. I also really like Kairi. I know she's a character that isn't as popular in the fandom, or at least she wasn't when I was a kid. I don't know if that's changed much now, but I like her connection to both Sora and to Riku. I wish we did see more of her connection to Riku actually as well, because obviously we get a lot of her story with Sora, but sometimes, and it's probably because there's not enough time, but I feel like the game kind of forgets that Riku and Kairi are meant to be best friends too, but maybe that's just my opinion. But I'm on to the colouring part of the process now. As you can see, I'm working on the little Polaroids on Sora's bedroom wall. I've got some Polaroids of him with Riku and him with Kairi, and him with Riku and Kairi. And I think I have a couple of Roxas as well. My cat's meowing at me, excuse me. So I got kind of distracted there, talking about my favourite game and my favourite characters. I think I did a little Polaroid of the three of them at Disneyland as well. I'd like to do a bigger picture of them at Disney so that I could design ears for them. I think, I'm not saying that's a super original idea on my part, but I think that would be really fun. I really wanted to focus on the lighting because we've got that window there, and then the colours in Sora's bedroom are quite dark. So I tried to make the most of that natural lighting. I think it's meant to be sort of a sunset scene. I don't know why I said I think. It is supposed to be a sunset scene. So they're getting the evening light, which is always really fun to play around with in these kind of drawings. And I had a lot of fun figuring out the lighting and the shadows and trying to push those as much as I could. Apologies if this part of the video sounds a bit different from the rest. I'm actually re-recording this on a different day because I think my cat deleted my audio, which sounds like a lie, but he's actually very good at using technology. You'd be amazed. So as I wrap up this video, I just wanted to say it's been so fun working on a piece like this again after such a long time. I would definitely like to create more videos, but as the YouTube side of things is really just a hobby, with the illustration side being my biggest focus, I can't say how frequent my videos will be, but I do regularly share shorts, so just, casually plugging that. If you're interested in seeing some of my sketches, sketchbook flip-throughs, and some funny videos of my cat art assistant being a terror, then you can see those there. I don't really have anything else to add about this piece, so I'm just going to wrap this video up and I will let you listen to some music for the last few minutes instead of my voice. But thank you so much to anyone who watched to the end. I'd like to ask, which Kingdom Hearts game is your favourite, and do you have a favourite character? And if you're not a Kingdom Hearts person, is there another video game series you find really nostalgic? I would love to chat about video games in the comments. So hopefully I'll see you in another video soon, and thank you so much for watching. Bye! Let me see how close I actually have to get to this thing to... Oh. Okay, so I've established that sitting like a hermit is probably the way to go. But at the same time, I don't think that's going to be great for my back. And also you're probably going to hear the chair creaking, so... Hi! Even my hi was really... Hi! Hi! It's been a long time since I made a long form Speedpaint video, and my voice just broke like I'm a teenage boy, but that's fine. So, that was a sound. I don't really have anything conker